Good afternoon. Counting down to the final 120 minutes of the start of this truncated week. You're watching Midcap Radar from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Hormas Fatakia. With me today is Reema Tendulkar. Reema, good afternoon. We started off well, but we seem to have cooled off from the highs, but it's not looking good for the broader markets.
Oh, indeed. The mid-cap index is down 300 points. Small-cap index down over 1%. And the gap between the advances and the declining stocks has only been widening as the days progress. But these are the top stories at 1:30 p.m. Frontline stocks gain, keeping mainline indices in the green, even as the broader markets see more stocks declining than advancing. FMCG metals are the prominent gainers, while consumer durables along with oil and gas drag.
The RBI has approved only a one-year term extension for IndusInd Bank CEO Sumant Katpalia against a three-year extension sought. The shorter duration of extension raises uncertainties. The stock is now at a 52-week low.
And here's the pharma news for the day. Sun Pharma is all set to acquire Checkpoint Therapeutics that owns an FDA-approved oncoderma therapy drug for an upfront payment of $355 million, while Lupin launches a cardio drug in the US with an addressable market of nearly $450 million.
Astra Microwave is in focus after its management tells CNBC-TV18 that they are maintaining their order book guidance and that their consolidated order book is currently over 2,300 crore rupees. The company is also projecting a top-line growth of 25%.
And Vinity Organics is under pressure even as the management tells CNBC-TV18 US tariffs do not impact them. They're not setting up a subsidiary in the US to avoid tariffs. They also reveal blended tariffs on their exports to the US stands at 7.5%.
Well, 100 points lower from the day's high now is the Nifty, but it is still holding on to gains. The broader markets, though, that are a bit of a pain point, as Reema was just mentioning, a 300-point cut on the mid-cap index. The small-cap index, too, is down to the lowest point of the day, trading with losses of over 1%. Remember, the last week was a good one for the markets, but this time around, the truncated week has not got off to a good start, particularly for the broader markets. But what are some of the stocks that are making headlines this afternoon? Vamakshi is here to tell us just that. Vamakshi, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Hormas, but not such a good afternoon for the mid-cap space, right? Let's look at some of the stocks that are contributing to these kind of declines that we are seeing in the broader markets. GM Financial is one such counter. We also have 361 WAM, Mahindra Lifespace, as well as KEI Industries. All of these counters are trading under immense pressure as of now. Keep in mind that all of these counters have corrected somewhere around 25 to 30% on a year-to-date basis. And when we look at Mahindra Lifespace as well as KEI Industries, they're trading close to their 52-week low. The mid-cap IT stocks are also appearing to be under a fair bit of pressure. Look at Birlasoft, that stock is down nearly 5%. Sonata Software is another counter that is reeling under pressure, down nearly 3.5%. Tanla Platforms too trading 3% lower, and KPIT Tech also down nearly 2%. The industrial pack as a whole is also trading lower today. Triveni Turbines is seeing a sharp fall of 5.5%. Apar Industries also trading close to the day's lowest point, down nearly 6.2%. Hitachi Energy as well as CG Power are some other counters that are seeing pressure today. On the flip side, let's look at the stocks that are gaining in an otherwise weak market, especially for the mid-cap space. Aavas Financiers is one such name. That stock is trading close to the day's highest point, up nearly 6.6%. DOMS is another counter, up nearly 4%. Dr. Lal Path Labs as well as Solar Industries all up anywhere between 3 to 4%.
Thank you very much for that. Let's get Ajit Mishra from Religare Broking for a technical check on the markets in the afternoon. Ajit, thank you very much for joining in. What have you made of the fact that markets have been unable to build on last week's gains? It's sort of lost momentum. The mid-cap, small caps have come in for profit booking. Does that tell you that the uptrend that we had last week has stalled now and markets could make a down move?
Yeah, good afternoon, Reema. So, last week was the week where markets were trying to find a bottom. So successfully, we could defend that area 22,000 mark, and then we saw that as the week progressed, we could manage to gain nearly 2% on the benchmark front and noticeable gains on the broader indices as well. But Reema, now we have reached to the point, the first area of resistance that short-term moving averages, when it comes to the short, benchmark indices and the broader indices as well. So for Nifty, 22,700 is the area basically where the Nifty is currently facing resistance. Today we have tested that mark, and now we are seeing that The broader indices are also reeling under pressure. Last week, metal counters did exceptionally well. They are extending the gains, but banking is not participating yet. So I believe that once we have some participation from the banking, let's say the banking index surpasses 49,000 mark, then probably we can set for the next leg of the up move, which could help the index to inch toward 23,000 level, 23,200 zone in the coming days.
About specific stocks, then Ajit, you mentioned metals did very well. What are some of these metal names on your list now, particularly after the run-up that you've seen?
So, Omas, now I believe that there could be a bit of a profit taking in metal counters because they were the exceptional performers, and now we have multiple resistances on the weekly charts as well. Now, focus should be more on banking and other names wherein we are seeing comparatively, relatively higher strength. So within the banking space, Kotak Bank, wherein post the multi-year breakout, we are seeing a base formation. So here I'm anticipating that there could be a fresh leg of up move towards 2020 levels. So with stop at 1900, one can go long in Kotak. And another stock from the energy basket, JSW's Energy, it has formed a reversal pattern of late. And we are set for the next leg of the up move here also. With 540 as a target, one can accumulate at current levels with 495 as a stop.
All right, Ajit, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us this afternoon with your views on the index and on specific stocks as well. But from breaking barriers to rewriting the rules, our exclusive Future Female Forward Mega Summit brings together the voices that matter. Don't miss this power-packed conversation on enabling success, driving parity and shaping a more inclusive future. Tune in live only on CNBC TV18 this evening at 5:30 p.m. Take a short break, back on the other side.
Welcome back. There is a defensive tilt to the markets. So on the way up, you've got names like HUL, Nestle, Britannia. You've got an Infosys, throw that in with a 1.5% up move on the back of a CLSA upgrade where they've upgraded the stock to an outperform rating. So that's holding the stock up. And power names are higher today. So the top Nifty gainer today is Power Grid. But there's another stock, ICICI Securities, which has recovered from the day's low as NCLAT has upheld the delisting of the stock. Vamakshi joins in with the details on this story.
Well, absolutely, Reema. You know, ICICI Securities is in focus. It's seeing good recovery from the day's lowest point. What has happened is that NCLAT has upheld the delisting of ICICI Securities from stock exchanges. Now, to just give our viewers some background, in June 2023, ICICI Securities had announced its plan to delist and merge itself with the parent company, which is ICICI Bank. Now, the approved scheme was that shareholders were to receive 67 shares of ICICI Bank for every 100 shares of ICICI Securities that they held. Now, in March 2024, shareholders gave nod to this scheme with a majority of nearly 72%. But there were two shareholders, Quantum MF and Manu Rishi Gupta, who opposed the move in separate petitions in the NCLT. They argued that the swap ratio would hurt the interests of minority shareholders. Now, come August 2024, the NCLT upheld the ICICI Securities delisting, and therefore this further promoted both of these shareholders, Quantum MF and Manu Gupta, to go ahead and challenge this decision of the NCLT in the NCLAT. Now what has happened is that all 6 appeals filed by Quantum MF and Manu Rishi Gupta have now been dismissed, and this in turn paves way, removes an obstacle from ICICI Securities delisting to take place. So therefore this bodes well for the stock, and resultantly the stock has recovered from the day's lowest point.
Right, Vamakshi, thanks a lot for that. Recovering from the lows of the day is ICICI Securities. But the one stock in the broader market that has been in the news for all the wrong reasons last week has been Gensol. And today is no different. We spoke to the management last week, Rima, and they had mentioned that they are going to, or they have plans to increase their stake in the company from the open market, although they did not share a timeline as to when they would do so. But contrary to that, they ended up selling some stake in the open market on Friday based on what the announcement they made, around about 9 lakh shares or almost 2.5%. And they plan on reinvesting those proceeds into the business again. And they would also be investing into the warrant subscription round, which was done at a much higher price in June of last year. They'd be investing into that as well. But even after the stake sale, the promoters still hold around about a 60% stake in the company, most of which is pledged. So that is another concern surrounding Gensol. But before this announcement came up, just after market closing on Friday, the company also made another announcement. The fact that they are going to be holding a board meeting on the 13th of this month, which is around Thursday, and that will be for a fundraising proposal, either via QIP or a preferential issue or other methods. But interestingly, they are also going to consider a stock split. They're going to consider a stock split when the stock is already down 75% from its peak, around about 1100 rupees. The stock is now languishing at 300. Now they are going to consider a stock split. They've never done one before, but they've issued bonuses. A couple of instances. In October of 23, they did a 2:1 bonus. In October of 21, they did a 1:3 bonus. And even after this, the management continues to maintain that there is no wrongdoing on their part. They've constituted an independent committee to probe all the allegations that rating agencies like CARE and ICRA have made, and the fact that they remain committed to the business. But there is still a lot of twists and turns happening in this Gensol story. Right now, there are more questions than answers, but the answers are still pretty distant as of now.
So they have raised close to about 30 crore by selling 9 lakh shares, because the price is a little more than 300 rupees. So what, 27, 30 odd crore they must have raised. Are they infusing how much via the...
That they have not specified as to how much they plan on doing, because even the promoters had mentioned that they have a 60 crore liability that they have to pay off over the next 3 months, which is around about 20 crores a month. So they plan on paying that off, but they haven't specified how much and when and how they will infuse the sum back into the business. And the street does not like this. The stock was getting battered last week. They saw some bit of choppy moves on Friday, and now it's back into a lower circuit of 5%. So last week, the circuit was 20%. After that one instance, it was revised down to 10. And after those two instances of a 10% lower circuit, now the Gensol is in a 5% lower circuit. So a lot of wealth destruction.
Oh, indeed. I think it's down more than 50%, 58% now in the last 1 month itself. That's the extent of the destruction. But moving on now to Astra Microwave. We had a chat with the management earlier, and this is what they had to say. They are projecting a top-line growth of 25%, and they maintain their order book guidance. So listen in to key excerpts from the management conversation this morning.
We are maintaining our guidance. Our order book forecasts have more or less been translated into actuals at this point in time. We are looking at deliveries on schedule, and we will cross, in all likelihood, 1,000 odd crores, which we had spoken about, indicated to you. The next year guidance has been and our consolidated order book right now is around 2,332 odd crores, and a standalone is about 1,960. And our forecast for the next year is the new order inflow is in excess of 1,250, 1,300 crores, 25 odd percent is the top line growth which we are projecting. We have multiple projects, multiple discussions which are on an ongoing basis. And in fact, I would like to mention that the new opportunities for the whole industry, we started by speaking about the industry. There is a mega trend in the offing at this point in time. If you look at the next 6-7 years, which is rearmament of Europe, they have decades have happened in weeks, And I think there is a substantial business flow which can accrue to Indian companies. It's too early to say what exactly is the quantum, but we are hearing about all sorts of numbers. Depends on what is the incremental GDP allocation which European companies are forced to make.
This rearmament of Europe is one reason why a lot of these defense stocks were big outperformers last week, but they're not seeing some bit of profit taking in today's trading session. Before we take this short break, here is some good news for our viewers. India's business news leader is now just a click away, introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app, which gets you all the instant access to breaking news, financial world updates, all of it at your fingertips. You can download the app from the App Store or the Google Play Store, or scan the QR code that is on your screens. Take a short break. Back on the other side.
Welcome back. Now the Nifty is dipped into the red. All the morning gains have been erased, and that is a bit disappointing. The Nifty is now below 22,550. The day's high today was 22,678. So from the highs, we're down close to about 130 odd points. So it's still flat on the benchmark indices. It's just the way that, today we've been making lower highs as the days progress. And in the last 10-15 minutes, there has been a wave of selling pressure that's kicked in. TVS Motors, Bajaj Finserv, ONGC. Look at the way ONGC has extended its losses. That's down close to about 3%. ONGC is negatively impacted by the decline in crude prices, and crude prices have slumped. But ONGC therefore has taken a bit of a hit. NTPC, BEL, many of these PSUs are the principal losers today.
Another one stock that was leading the index higher last week is dragging the index down today, and that is Reliance. Since down off the highs of the day, around 0.7% lower today. Of course, it's coming on the back of a 3-day winning streak where they gained almost 7.5-8%. So that is what is leading the index down at the moment. And L&T is the top dragger on the index right now. 1.5% down is what is L&T. Now 15 points is what is contributing to the index downside. But what is keeping the losses in check, though, as Reema just mentioned earlier, is the defensive tilt, right? Infosys, of course, after that brokerage upgrade, is contributing around 20 points to the gains. HUL is up 2.5%. HDFC Bank is up 0.5%, as is ICICI Bank. So these are some of the heavyweights that are keeping the index downside in check. But it is Reliance Industries, L&T and ONGC, of course, as Reema highlighted, 3.5% down now on ONGC. And of course, IndusInd Bank, the stock that has been in focus since the morning, that too continues to remain lower by around 3.5%. But with that, we call time on this edition of Midcap Radar. From Reema, me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. Your stocks on the other side.